Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Dubious Engineering. This is a toaster. It's not just any old toaster, it's my grandfather's toaster. He left it to me in his will. The will read, "Dear Howard, when I pop my clogs, I'd like you to have my toaster." So here it is. It's a Dualit. It's a magnificent invention. They're absolutely solid. Quite well known in the catering industry. Dualit was founded in 1945. It was founded by a German inventor called Max Gortbarten. Called Max Gortbarten. So he originally invented a dual light heating system. Effectively, it was two lights that would heat two parts of the room. So hence was born the name Dualit. So what I want to do today is show you around this toaster. I had a hard lesson with this toaster. I thought one of the elements had failed in it. So there's three elements that sit inside here. One sits in the middle between the two slices of bread, and you have one at each end. And what was happening is you'd put toast in there and toast would come out perfectly of one of these slots, but only half toasted on the other slot. And subsequently I've found out that there's a little switch on the front just here. And when the switch is in one position, it turns off one element, which ultimately means you end up with a piece of toast that's cooked on only one side. Anyway, long story short, let's get inside this toaster. Let's have a look around it. It's some fabulous engineering. It's absolutely solidly built. Let's go ahead and test and check our elements that are inside this toaster. Most toasters today don't even let you change an element. In fact, most toasters today are generally throwaway toasters. If an element stops working in a toaster, you chuck it out and you buy a new one. So these Dualit type toasters are still fetching quite a serious amount of money on eBay. For a toaster, like your Morphy Richards might cost about 20 quid, 25 quid, but these things are fetching hundreds of pounds on eBay. So I want to look after it, and I want to look after it because it was me granddad's and I absolutely loved him and he taught me a lot of engineering stuff. Anyway, I'm going on. Let's get inside the toaster and have a look around.
We've got a problem. We've got one of the elements down. This element right here, closest to the timer. It's a really simple device. Ultimately, here you've got a little seesaw knob. When you lift that up and down, you'll see those levers will push the toast out, or they'll let the toast deeper into the toasting slots. And then what we've got here is a timer. When you rotate the dial, as you can hear there, a mechanical timer starts. And that dial very slowly starts to rotate in the opposite direction. When it reaches 0, it disengages the contacts. As you can hear, it also has a clutch, so if you reverse direction, it doesn't break it. We have a switch here which turns on both sides of the toaster, or toast only on one side. Always have it on this setting. Full power, toast on both sides. With my toaster came some spare elements, some spare elephants. These are made out of mica, which is a heat resistant material, and they're in a little steel frame. And then there is resistance wire, which is wound around notches in the mica. And clearly they were only able to make the mica a certain size. And they have these little pop rivets in here to hold everything in place. No point in trying to solder this, because this will get up to 300 degrees plus 400 degrees. So these are the two contacts here and here. Perhaps we should get a multimeter on this and see what resistance it is and compare it with the broken one, which is inside the toaster. Just a side note, my grandfather, bless his cotton socks, bought these replacement elements directly from Dualit. So my grandfather also put a note on the dispatch paperwork that said, 3 new elements fitted, 24th of April 1999. 2 have been used, but they're sound elements and you can keep them as spares. How awesome is that? First things first, let's make sure it's disconnected from the mains. Then we remove the crumb tray, which is located at the bottom underneath the toaster right here. Now it's time to unscrew the feet and disconnect the base plate. Right, so what's in the Dualit toaster? A bit of toast. I wonder how old that bit of toast is. It's quite burnt. It doesn't look like modern toast. That looks like very old school brown toast. I don't eat brown bread. I eat white bread. I reckon this has been in here for a long time. Right, we'll get rid of that. Okay. So here's the clockwork mechanism. And there she goes. And that's a completely sealed unit. No point in messing with that. But if we look at it, all the connections look like they're sound. So these are the elements here, and they're all bolted together. So let's just look at it. We've got a wonderful die-cast aluminium chassis, a lovely outer housing. And then on the inside, what we have are pressed and bent steel plates. And then the front and rear of the unit, we've got pressed and bent polished steel plates with pop rivets and screws. So this is really easy to work on, really easy to service. And then let's have a look at the way this knob works. So this is the loading and unloading mechanism for the toast. It's just so simple. Absolutely magnificent. Right, this is the element that we need to replace, the one closest to the timer mechanism. So we need to get in here, and we need to get a small spanner in here, and we need to undo these nuts and bolts. Make sure we don't lose those nuts and bolts. So I have a small adjustable wrench. I'm sure that should be able to fit those. So once you've loosened those nuts, it's relatively easy to get in here. What you've got to be careful of is dropping nuts and washers down inside the toaster. So when removing this, be careful not to damage it any further by drawing it across this guy right here. So we hope that this is the offending mica element. Let's test that. Let's put it on the deck and let's get a meter on it. This is the offending element. 139 ohms. Nothing wrong with that as far as I can see. Here's a new element, slightly used. 138.6 ohms. I have a horrible feeling I know what the problem was. Okay, we're going to put the old element, the original element, back in. And the reason why we're going to do that is because I believe the switch on the front of the toaster, this is quite embarrassing, the switch on the front of the toaster switches off this element. You can see that red cable connects to this element. I've got a feeling what had happened, this element is always on, it's running in parallel with this element here, and I believe that that switch had been switched across, so this element was off. And because this element here has a winding on both sides, it was only toasting the bread on one side. So actually there was nothing wrong with it. Anyway, it's nice to get in this old kit and have a look around. Let's reassemble it and test it and check it. Okay, so I've got my probes here on the two elements that sit in parallel. When we switch the switch on the front, you'll notice that that resistance value changes to 42 ohms from 60 ohms, which makes perfect sense if you consider that these are both about 130 ohms each. So two 130s put in parallel will give you around 60 or 70, and then add another one, so that's 3 in parallel, gives you about 40. Everything appears to be working perfectly. I think what happened was when someone was cleaning the toaster, they threw that switch. I wasn't looking and I didn't think about it. And how stupid and how stupid do I feel now? Anyway, it's been magnificent getting in there and having a look around. So one thing we should probably do is put it through its paces. So I've got some bread here that was made, homemade, by my wife. It's fantastic. She calls it milk bread. It's so soft and fluffy, and it's made with milk, as you can imagine. So here we go. Let's make sure the switch is in the right position. Yeah, it's in position 2. The elements are warming up, I can feel that. And let's drop the toast down into position. There we go. So I found about 1.5 minutes is absolutely perfect for this. Let's see how this looks when it finishes. Flora. My wife's sister's name is Flora. They keep telling jokes about being half the fat and easy to spread. She doesn't appreciate it. Anyway, so the question is, are all my elements working? And I think they are. It certainly feels like it. It feels like there's an even amount of heat coming out of both slots from the toaster there. In a second you'll hear a little click as the contacts break in the mechanical timing mechanism. The good thing, ooh, there we go, that was that click. The good thing, we can pull our toast early if we decide that we've let the timer run for too long. There we go, the timer's finally quietened down. And here's our toast, toasted on every side. How beautiful. Might have done that just a little bit too much. Well, fantastic. Let's get some butter on that and we'll enjoy it with our cup of coffee. I do love a good bit of toast. What do you like on your toast? Oh, so good. There we have it, ladies and gents. There we have it, the Dualit toaster. And what a wonderful piece of engineering it really is. Absolutely solidly built. Beautiful die-cast aluminium, and you know, it's just a beast of a machine. Thanks ever so much for watching. Give us a good old thumbs up. Make sure you subscribed if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a future video. Take care, people. Bye for now.